what he said. It's something that now when I listen to you, I feel a year ago, pretty much everything you said, I don't think I would understand.
Yes.
Now, having had my own, what I believe to be a Kundalini rising, because in a very short space of time, I became a very different person. I stopped eating meat, stopped drinking alcohol, I started meditating, I started dancing, and I connected to something in myself that I'd never felt before, but something that I knew was missing. And that transition happened very quickly, that now I'm in the phase where I'm bouncing back between the worlds. And because there's still a massive part of me that wants to go back to my old world, because it makes more sense to the brain that I was raised with. And then there's this new brain that's like, oh no, you know that's not right, or right for you. I never say that nothing is not right, because we are where we are, and I think it's really important to maintain a level of judgment for where people are, because genuinely, if somebody preached to me about some of the things that I now know as like core values to myself, it would be like telling off a dog who didn't know what it's done wrong. I had no concept of it, you know, being raised kind of, as I said, very materialistically, eating a lot of bad food, watching a lot of TV, and it's very common. It's very normal. It's you know, it's certainly not something anybody's doing wrong. It's just what we've become. And now the next stage, I suppose, is taking that action to go, okay, where actually maybe have we gone too far and lost that part of ourselves that does dance with the divine, yes, that does, you know, want to look at the stars and connect with the bigger picture. And I'll give you the motivation. Let's refer back to earlier in this conversation when Guruji essentially created this place from magic, you know, from a dream, from a vision, and it's seeing stories like that really remind me to believe. Get yourself, firstly, I think, in a healthy environment. That's something that I'm rebuilding right now. Getting yourself in a healthy environment, learning to let people drop away that contradict, I suppose, what it is that you want from life, because it's very difficult to move, I believe, in that tunnel of faith, especially if you're surrounded with people that want to constantly tell you that's impossible, that will never happen. It's where I'm at currently in my own personal journey of having to walk away from people that I love, but I know are essentially keeping me from believing in my own portal. And it is essentially going through a kind of death of a person that I was and had great times with. Not just bad times, I had great times with that girl. I enjoyed a lot of private jets and boat rides and designer clothes, and sometimes I will miss her. But I know that I think I know enough now to know that anything that I don't learn now, I will have to learn later. So it's just how fast I choose to learn that. And once you start to see life in a new way, you can't pretend that it doesn't exist. You can't suddenly pretend that the garden that you have found outside your house is no longer there and you just want to climb back into your own box. But I suppose having you here and having the opportunity to really pick your brain, I would just ask, I suppose, how does somebody that feels this, they feel it, but they don't know how to start. They don't know how to take themselves from the boxes, from the education, from the conditioning, and awaken themselves. You know, and this could be anybody on the scale. This could be somebody that has nothing more than a dissatisfaction that there is something more and they're not able to find it. Where do they start?
Many years ago, I had read a statement by the great Ramana Maharishi, which says, suffering is necessary for rising. If there is no suffering, we are so contented in our so-called rainbow chase that we forget that we are just in an illusory world where we think everything is happening because everybody is looking at some kind of a perspective that keeps them going, living a dream. Everybody is living a dream. Even spiritual rising is also part of the dream. Even nirvana is a dream. 7th level dream is liberation. So if everything is a dream, we are just raising the levels of the dream. You cannot discount the fact that we still have to be grounded on this planet, and we still have to go through a life stream as it was meant to be. Now you cannot say somebody who's on a mortgage, drop your entire life and switch to spirituality, close your eyes. He still has a loan to pay off. So we cannot say that, okay, why do you have to come here? How do we start? Where do you understand the larger picture? So this whole points can be clarified with a simple understanding to follow the middle path of understanding the inner and outer dimension. We are living in 2 dimensions. Inner dimension is the cosmic reality, outer dimension is the universal reality. We are spinning around the pillar in a vortex like energy. Now, what part of it we don't want to understand? What part of it is convenient for us? When we are in pain, we want instant release. You see, we don't want the long process. If you tell somebody, I'll come back to me after 100 years, nobody is going to come to you. They want a quick relief. Some people want relief, some people want release. People who want relief will go for a spa kind of atmosphere. They want to feel good for a few hours, have some alcohol and coffee and come back and feel good for a little while and then go back to the grind. But if somebody has decided that they want to have a permanent release from this, they have to switch the paradigm from where they're operating. Their box feels comfortable because all their friends, relatives, families, officers, everybody is part of that little box. And it's so easy, it's almost like a blinded muscle memory. It's just there. If everybody wakes up, they just know where their keys are, where their car is, where their office is. They just land up, they have run through 12 hours of work, returned home, they realize, oh, did I go to work today? They are operating in a zombie world. If you pull them out of their comfort zone, first thing is the fear of losing. People tell me, will I lose my edge? Will I lose my competitive edge? Will I become less useful? The answer is no. You will not lose your competitive edge. You will become better at what you do. You will excel at what you do. Because you are only fine-tuning your creative side, which is making you more brilliantly available as an intelligent being, rather than just a stuck-up, intellectual monster who is trying to decode more logic and more discomfort. So, how would you like to be in your life? Would you like to be a very stressed out struggler with, on a constant waiting list for what next test you're going to do on your body to figure out what trouble you have? So basically, if you're living on the edge of uncertainty, unsurety, because we have invented all these problems. If you look at medical history 100 years ago, how many diseases existed then and now, you will see hundreds of new diseases that have emerged out of the so-called human progression. When we call it success, we have more gadgets, but we have more diseases than the gadgets. So if you want to become aligned to the cosmic laboratory which is there inherently embedded within us, you will have to do deep diving. You cannot be, like picked out just like a library book. You have to invoke the inherent gift. It is not straightforward. It is even has to cleanse and purify this instrument. There is an effort. People who shy away from effort don't expect magic. People who don't want to know themselves do not expect magic, because some people are scared of even knowing that they are a powerful soul and not just a fragmented human body. It's so, programming is so deep. How can it be? See, for a simple analogy, if you drive the car, are you the car? You are just a driver of the car. Just because your hand is on the wheel, you don't become the car. So you don't carry the ego of being a branded car and you suddenly become arrogant that you have a luxury car. One slight deviation in your thought process could lead to a fatal accident. So you're living on the edge, thinking that you're perfectly fine and secure, fragile, and the fragility only comes when you have a calamity in your life, when you are facing a crisis, a personal crisis, an emotional turmoil, when you face an upheaval situation which you cannot handle anymore. You're at the brink. That kind of brink brings you to a point where you cannot find answers anymore. You have to either collapse and surrender, or you have to end your life, or you have to do reinventing yourself. Where do you begin? Is effort and surrender are two quintessential concepts which are constantly bothering us. Do we surrender to first, or do we give effort? Now, I believe in surrendered action, surrendered effort. You offer your effort to cleanse and purify yourself. You will invoke the creative energies within you to, so that these energies, when they rise and they make your portal super ready, you will have a ray of cosmic light passing through you, and which will nullify you. You can't think anymore. You will be flattened out into that divine flow, and that will make you surrendered, because your thought process will stop. You will operate from a higher frequency of direct knowing. The direct knowing is far more powerful than all the intelligence gathered together in this planetary, earthly, human interference. So all that we are doing is raising the human frequency to its childlike state. Is it so difficult? We had it, we lost it. We've forgotten how to invoke the laughter to cure even the fourth stage cancer can be healed through laughter. We can raise the heart frequency 5,000 times more than the brain frequency. We can have a huge explosive love frequency emanating from this pure readiness, just like how a great avatar like Krishna brought in. But we're not endowed to be an avatar straight away. We have to still deal with the human karmic limitations of where we are operating from. So important aspect is, how do you make somebody understand? It's not possible to understand straight away unless you cleanse and purify the instrument. The gut has to be cleansed so that it will not give you some scary thoughts. The fear is stored inherently. So once you cleanse your gut, you will start to feel the sacredness of your instrument emanating it's like an intuitive laboratory out here, and it will send waves of that sublime current into the brain, and that will unlock the brain from its grapple hold of very limited constricted thought processes, and it will allow the heart to unfurl its magic. So this is a triune, and this cannot be separated. The heart, gut and the brain all to be fused, to be able to be living up to the primal glory of a very ready instrument. When you access this kind of calibration, this understanding happens on its own. You don't have to need a very extraordinary effort to make it viable to comprehend. That how are you going to make somebody learn? How are you going to make somebody understand? It is, the intelligence is embedded in our genetic code. It is, you don't need a hammer to crack open that. It is just that the programming is so strong that we cannot unfurl our real magic, because we are so confined in that idealism that it has to be in a certain way. How do you know it is a certain way? Has it worked for you? How does, if all the gathered intellect could have opened or cracked the wall that we could find the creative essence. To me, the brilliant aspect here is that all the firmness in our devotion If devotion has not emerged in you, that means you believe that it is you are hit a wall and you love the wall because you created it. If devotion shatters with this so-called wall of self-importance and helps you remember that you are part of that magnificent design and you are not the designer, you are just a user. So the user should develop that level of devotion to the designer. The design enhances itself by the sheer gratitude pouring out of that ready user. And the utility factor only multiplies because you now start honoring the design. That is a big game shift. Instead of saying that, okay, I'm powerful, I am now a Kundalini master, now I'm going to make a life difficult for everybody around me with my supreme spiritual ego.
Yeah, been there.
Yeah, so what happens is we kind of destroy the beauty and of that sacredness that is passing through us. It won't last because all these gifts of experiences are passing through us like siddhis. They are just passing through us. It will eventually make you shunya, a zero. A being who is operating only pure magnetism does not have to need many gifts. It is just, see, like a core of the earth has a magnet, the core of the sun has a magnet, the core of the matrix has a magnet. All are magnets, and all feminine sacred energies are spinning around it, wanting to merge with it. So now Kevala is like a Shiva Shakti grid. It has got the feminine Shakti of flowing like crazy in all its energy dimensions, and then there is a magnetic pillar which is so strong that people don't have to know everything. You just have to click in it, just like do we need to teach the river how to flow? It has the current flowing through it. It knows where the ocean is. It is going and merging with the ocean. Same way, we are all creative beings with the current inherently embedded. We are all rising into the oceanic bliss. So we don't need to know everything. We just need to collapse into surrender. The force guides its own inherent methods.
Beautiful.